Identifying breakout players at the beginning of the year and identifying hot starts is so crucial for fantasy basketball success. I'm going to highlight 10 players who've had tremendous starts to the season, and we're going to dig down, we're going to dig deep to see if this trend will continue or if they're just going to be a flash in the pan, will fizzle back down to reality as the season wears on. I'm Chris. Check out my previous waiver wire video posted on Saturday if you haven't already, and yes, I do know I have the world's largest pimple on my neck right now. I am not too happy about it at all. So let's get into this thing before this baby blows. Okay, first up, let's go Austin Reaves. Now, Reaves is one of the guys that I pumped pretty hard in the preseason, saying that I was drafting him everywhere that he was available in the 4th round, and I was even okay with him getting selected near the end of the 3rd too. Reaves is currently a top 20 player in 9-cat leagues. He definitely has had some insane spike nights, with LBJ still injured to start the year and Luka missing a few games. That is just a plus of owning Reaves, because those guys will get rest nights, those guys will miss games, and when Reaves is healthy and starting, he's just going to explode on those nights. I just absolutely love his skill set. I talked about him in my buy low, sell high video as a player that I wouldn't consider selling high unless I was legit getting back like an end of the 1st round, 2nd round type player back in return for Reaves, and I still stand by that. I most certainly think that Austin Reaves' level of play is sustainable. There might just be a slight downtick when LBJ does finally get back onto the court, but this Austin Reaves breakout is legit, it's real, and I'm just here for the ride. Next up, we have Julius Randle. Now, Julius Randle is a top 10 ranked player right now. He's giving me some like Luka Doncic type vibes with his nightly lines right now. Absolutely stuffing the stat sheet in so many different ways. The lefty is hot right now, and he's not scared to let it fly. He never really has been in his career, but Randle is just shooting a ridiculous 45% from the floor and 40% from beyond the arc. Now, do I think both of those are sustainable? Probably not. Randle has only ever been above 50% from the floor way back in 2017, 2018, and one of those years he only averaged 11 attempts from the field, so that definitely skewed his numbers as he's always shooting closer to 13, 14, 15 attempts per game right now. Big thing right now has been the Anthony Edwards injury. Randle has had the ball in his hands a lot more. He's pretty much been the sole creator on offense, so his assist numbers are definitely inflated without Edwards on the floor. His true shooting percentage is up a whopping 7% from last year and 10% from the year before. Now, it's not that I don't think Randle is a great fantasy asset. I definitely think he is. He's going to be solid all year. But do I think he's a top 10, top 15 ranked player by season's end? Absolutely not. Edwards should be back and hopefully healthy for the remainder of the season. And I just don't believe Randle's shooting splits are going to hold up throughout the year. Man, if I could win a freaking gold medal for biggest pimple on planet Earth, this would be in contention right here. It's like climbing Mount Everest, baby. And it hurts. We'll keep going with Cedric Coward. Now, Coward has been an early season waiver wire gem for anyone scooped him off the wire. He's providing well-rounded lines. As I said in the waiver wire video that featured him, when I talked about him, I expected Coward's shooting to regress from that crazy hot start that he started off with. There's just no way that he was going to continue to shoot at that high level of a clip going forward. As with most rookies do, they do go ups and downs throughout the season with their shooting efficiency. So his current true shooting percentage of 68% is just not going to last. It's in the 95th percentile, so there's nowhere for that to go but to come down. His 3.4 deflections per 36 minutes is in the upper end of the league, and he does have great rim defense, so I think his stock contributions will be solid rest of season. Who knows what's happening with Ja Morant? Nobody knows. I don't even know if he knows. Coward's hot start is legit. I think his role is pretty secure in that Grizzlies rotation now. He hustles. I don't think he's a top 40 player by any means, but I see no reason why he can't finish as a top 70 guy all day long. And that's absolute gold. Getting Coward for free from the waiver wire at the beginning of the year. For free. Okay, we're going to keep going with Jalen Duren from the Detroit Pistons. Now, Duren was another guy that I was super hype on preseason. I just absolutely loved where you could snag him in drafts. It felt like at that ADP, that was just literally his floor play with only upside to be had. Now, Duren did start off pretty slow. He got into some foul trouble some nights. Now, Detroit did look really shaky in the beginning. They looked out of sync. They had a lot of expectations on them coming into this year, which is new for them. So maybe that kind of played into their slow start, but they look like they're rolling right now. They're on a nice win streak, and Jalen Duren is just going ham. But Duren is really coming to his own like I imagined. He's having fat double-double nights with monster rebound totals. He has a high field goal percentage, and he's contributing lovely, sounds so weird, in the stock categories. The one category that has really skyrocketed his value this year has been his free throw percentage, jumping up to 81% from 67% last year. Now, I know I've talked about it a bunch. I've said it many times. Free throw percentage is so hard to judge based on a year-to-year sample, especially in a young player. There can be huge variance swings, and it is one thing that I think if a player really wants to work on it in the offseason over the summer, they can make significant improvements year to year. So it is kind of a hard thing to predict. Now, do I think Duren is an 80% from the line type of guy? Not really, probably not, but like 73 to 75%? Yeah, for sure. Totally. Now, the only thing in my mind that was really holding Duren back from a breakout was Detroit just not giving him every opportunity and seeing if he'd run away with it. Well, Detroit is giving him every opportunity. If you look at their last 6 to 7 games, his minutes, his usage, his effectiveness while on the floor, all resulting in Detroit W's. I would say Duren has got that opportunity and he is running away with it. This Duren breakout is real and it gets me so pumped. We'll keep going with Grayson Allen from the Phoenix Suns. Now, like I said in my waiver wire videos about Allen recently, if he can consistently get 30 plus minutes per night with a decent role on a struggling offense like Phoenix Suns are outside of Booker, he will put in work. And he has been, and that's exactly what he's doing. Phoenix is just so desperate for secondary scoring outside of Devin Booker, and especially with Jalen Green hurt, and now hurt again. The former Duke legend, Mr. Trippy, just dropped a season high 42 points with 10 made threes. He was lights out from beyond the arc, and Allen's role in that offense is now locked in moving forward for at least the next month until Green returns. But if Allen continues to play at this elite level, he should maintain a big enough chunk even with Green back. Phoenix is just really starved for any pulse who can individually shot create and individually score. Allen's hot start is kind of semi-real. I don't think he'll be this good rest of season. Definitely not, but I definitely do think that he should be able to provide value in 12-team leagues all season long, and is a massive boost to anybody who was lucky enough to pluck him off the wire at the beginning of the season. So in conclusion, I don't think he'll be this good rest of the season. This hot start won't be as good, but I think he can maintain some level of it going forward. So it's not completely fake by any means. Next up, we have Mikal Bridges from the New York Knicks. Now, a lot of people probably were wondering coming into the year how this New York Knicks team was going to look without Thibodeau running it, how the rotations were going to look, how the minutes were going to be dispersed throughout their starters, throughout their bench players, as Thibs notoriously just ran his starters into the ground until the wheels fell off. And I don't think Mike Brown shares that same philosophy, at least not to that extent. So in the early going, Bridges' minutes have dropped nearly 3 minutes per game compared to last year. So there definitely is a dip compared to Thibs with Mike Brown. But really, if you're looking at Bridges' game logs, you wouldn't realize that at all. He has been stuffing it each night. His field goal percentage is crazy. He's shooting 50% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. Yes, 50%. He's blocking 1 shot per game. His assists have jumped up all the way over 5, and the boards have held strong and steady around his normal 4 to 5 per game that he's been doing throughout his career. So do I think this hot start, this breakout is real and sustainable? No, I don't, honestly. For starters, he's just not going to shoot 50% from deep throughout the entire season. There's just no way. And if he does, I'll wax my gooch live on stream. I also think Bridges is more likely to shoot in the high 40s than the mid 50s like he's doing from the floor right now. So that is another area of regression that I do expect to hit at some point. The 1 block per game is kind of crazy too. Bridges hasn't even been close to that since 2020 with Phoenix. He's only in the 41st percentile for block percentage, 69th percentile for rim frequency. So that just means the number of opponent shots he contests at the rim. So again, there's probably some regression built in there that we should see at some point. I do like Bridges. I think he's going to be a great fantasy asset all season long. I'm just not buying that he's going to be a top 15, top 20 player by season's end. So with that said, I am going to say this breakout is more fake than real. Next up, we have Alex Sarr from the Washington Wizards. Now, I promise I'm not trying to intentionally pump up all my preseason guys. I hate when people do that, especially when they only pump up the picks that they hit and not the ones that they didn't. It just really grinds my balls and pisses me off. But anyways, it looks like Sar has taken a gigantic step forward in real life and fantasy. And all that talk over the summer about him wanting to improve his shot selection, being more aggressive as a scorer, getting closer to the basket, working on his finishing ability, looks like it seems legit, seems real. Didn't seem like he was just blowing smoke up our ass all summer. I'm seeing like tangible improvements from him this year so far. His field goal percentage has jumped up 12% from last year and sitting at 52% right now. Now, the biggest improvement, which is crazy because of how important his efficiency improving was for him and the Washington Wizards, is his block shots. Sar is looking like Mutombo back there, swatting over 2.5 shots per game, really solidifying himself as a dominant two-way player and an anchor down the middle for this young Washington Wizards team going forward. I said it in the preseason and I'll say it again here. I think the sky is the limit for Sar, and he's just scratching the surface. Sar is still only 20 years old, and I'm just here to enjoy the ride. Next up, we have Norman Powell from the Miami Heat. Now, the former UCLA Bruin, Powell has always been a solid scorer when given the ability to do so, but the rest of his game, the playmaking and defense, has always just been average or below average, so he's never really had the ability to solidify himself as like the go-to guy on the first unit on a consistent basis for any NBA team. But when injuries have popped up and he's the next man up, asked to step up, he can totally do it, and that's kind of exactly what we're seeing from him this year. Powell is averaging 24.5 points per game, 4 boards, which is actually high for him, 2 assists and 1.4 steals with practically 0 blocks. Powell is an elite 3-point shooter. He has been kind of his entire career. A lot of people do sleep on it, or he kind of flies under the radar, but Powell is lights out from beyond the arc. But the biggest thing with Powell and his fantasy value this year is it's been so dramatically increased by the injuries to Tyler Hero. He hasn't even played a game yet this year, and Bam Adebayo, that his usage rate is hovering around 30%. That will just not last. There's no way when both these guys get back on the court healthy again. And we kind of have a direct example of that from last year. When Leonard was hurt, when he was with the Clippers, he was lights out, performing like he is, scoring in the mid-20s every night. And then the second that Leonard gets back on the court, he kind of vanishes. And honestly, Powell was like droppable at some points last year after he returned. Powell just doesn't have enough juice for fantasy to stay relevant, to be this hot when those injured guys come back and return. So this hot streak is just not going to last. This breakout, we've seen it in the past. We'll probably see it again in the future. When there's injuries, when Powell's asked to step up, he can. But when they come back, he can almost be useless at times. I'm not really buying into this hot streak whatsoever. If you can get like a top 50, top 60 player for Powell, you take that trade right now and don't look back. For sure, once those guys are back, Powell's definitely going to fizzle away. So I'm not buying it at all. Okay, so we're going to stick in South Beach, Florida. We're going to stick with the Miami Heat, and we're going to go with Jaime Jaquez Jr. So everything that I practically just said about Powell's current situation can almost be identical for Jaquez Jr. here, even down to being a former UCLA Bruin as well. Watching this guy in college, I never really thought he would be like a stud in the NBA. He definitely seemed more like a glue guy, like a 6-man hustle type guy, a solid role player on like a decent team. So I actually kind of was surprised when he was selected in the first round coming out of college. But this year he does look more confident. His 2-point shooting, his 2-point percentage is just through the roof at insane levels, which I think will come down. He's not going to get that many easy buckets every night going forward. All his counting stats have increased, again, due to Tyler and Bam being both out. I think he always will be a solid rebounder. Jaquez was dominant in college. He has that motor in him. He has that hustle in him. He has the length and size to be able to continue that throughout his NBA career. But do I think Jaquez is going to be this good, like almost triple-double nightly lines going forward? No, but I don't think the drop-off is going to be as huge as it is with Powell. Hero and Bam will all suck a ton of usage from Jaquez when they come back. So his shot attempts will go down, and definitely his assists will go down. But Miami does seem to like him. He's a hustle guy, always grinding. And if he can maintain 25 plus minutes per night, I think he still could have a career year for him based on what I've seen so far. Now, will he be a top 50 player by season's end? No, most definitely not. But top 75, yeah, I can definitely see a scenario where he achieves that for sure. So to conclude, I do think some of this is legit real with Jaime Jaquez Jr., but just not to the current extent of what we're seeing. I think he will come back to reality just a little bit. And last up, we'll roll with Ryan Rollins, another waiver wire gem after Kevin Porter Jr. went down in game 1 with a sprained ankle, and he really hasn't looked back. He's averaging 16.5 points, 3.5 boards, 5.6 assists, 1.9 steals, and shooting 51% from the floor and 2.2 made threes per game. Rollins is easily rolling over 30 minutes per night for a Bucks team in desperate need for ball handlers. He's never really got his shot in the NBA, and he's getting his shot now and really taking advantage of it. Rollins is a plus shot creator for himself and teammates. He's averaging 3.9 deflections per 36, which is in the 93rd percentile in the NBA, so the steals should keep coming. Rollins simply can just fill the stat sheet in so many different ways for the point guard position, which is just so valuable for fantasy teams. I do believe in this hot start. I do believe in Rollins. As long as Doc Rivers doesn't do something stupid when Kevin Porter Jr. is healthy enough to return, Rollins could end up being like a league-winning addition from the waiver wire by season's end. Maybe I'm being way too bullish on Rollins. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Are you guys as hype on him as I am, or do you think he'll just fizzle off and be like a top 80 to top 100 player or worse by season's end? All right, I think that's it for this video. The pimple survived the whole thing, didn't pop on here, even though that would have been crazy. Dr. Pimple Pomper Fantasy Basketball, what a collab, man. Maybe I'm onto something, but I appreciate all the love and support. Comment down below. I'll try to reply to every single comment, every video. I'll have my waiver wire video out this weekend sometime. Have a good rest of your week, guys, and I'll see you real soon.